This is the moment everything changes for you. Not because the world shifts, not because circumstances suddenly improve, because you do. You have been waiting for the right time, for clarity, for permission. You thought it would arrive from outside. It will not. You no longer need approval to rise. You no longer need certainty to move. There is one mindset shift that separates those who try from those who become. When it clicks, excuses lose power. Fear grows quiet. Discipline feels natural. You can sense it now. That steady pressure inside. That calm awareness telling you this is not hype. This is alignment. You are stepping out of who you were. You are stepping into the version of you that finishes, leads, and wins. Stay here. Lean in. Breathe. This is the moment everything changes, and nothing will ever return to how it was again permanently. Chapter 1. The moment you stop negotiating with yourself. There comes a moment when something inside you hardens, not with anger, with clarity. A moment when you realize the conversation you keep having with yourself is costing you everything. Every delay, every excuse, every quiet justification that sounds reasonable but keeps you small. You've been negotiating with your standards, lowering them just enough to feel comfortable, raising them just enough to feel ambitious, and staying exactly where you are. This is where that ends. You are not weak. You are not lacking. You have been undecided. You have been allowing hesitation to speak with authority. You have been letting comfort vote on decisions that shape your future. You've been asking yourself how you feel instead of deciding who you are. That changes now. Success does not begin with motivation. Motivation fades. Energy fluctuates. Mood lies. Success begins the instant you stop debating your own standard. When you stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start declaring, "This is who I am." You already know this. You felt it every time you promised yourself you would change. Every time you said tomorrow. Every time you knew what needed to be done and delayed anyway. That feeling was not confusion. It was conflict. You versus your old self. Not a dramatic battle. A precise one. Quiet. Decisive. The old self negotiates. The old self explains. The old self asks for more time. The emerging self does not argue. It decides. And once a decision is made at the level of identity, behavior follows without friction. You don't rise by force. You rise by alignment. Right now, there is a line in front of you. It isn't visible. It isn't loud. But once crossed, you cannot uncross it. On one side is negotiation. On the other is command. On one side is potential. On the other is execution. You have crossed lines before in your life. Moments where something became non-negotiable. Moments where quitting stopped being an option. Moments where you surprised yourself with strength you didn't know you had. This is one of those moments. Stand here for a second. Feel it. The pressure is not fear. It is readiness. You are not being asked to become perfect. You are being asked to become exact. Exact with your word. Exact with your effort. Exact with what you tolerate from yourself. Negotiation weakens identity. Non-negotiation sharpens. When you negotiate, you drain energy deciding again and again. When you decide once, energy is freed to move. This is why discipline has felt heavy. You've been renegotiating daily, convincing yourself repeatedly, dragging yourself forward, instead of stepping forward as who you already decided to be. That stops here. From this point forward, certain things are simply done. Not because you feel inspired, because they are who you are now. You do not wait to feel ready. You act because readiness follows action. You do not ask for permission. You move because movement creates permission. This is leadership, not of others, of yourself. And it begins in private, when no one is watching, when no applause follows, when the only witness is you. This is where standards are forged. Every time you keep your word to yourself, something solidifies. Trust builds. Confidence grows quietly. Authority forms inside. You stop needing external validation because internal certainty takes its place. This is how power feels. Calm, grounded, unshakable. Notice how this feels different from hype, different from excitement, different from pressure. This is resolve. Resolve does not shout. It does not rush. It does not seek approval. It simply moves. You have spent enough time explaining your delays, enough time justifying hesitation, enough time negotiating with comfort. That phase is complete. From this moment, you choose standards over mood, decisions over debate, identity over impulse. Stand up, not physically, internally. Stand up inside yourself. Decide, not emotionally, consciously. Begin, not later. Now, you will feel resistance. That is not a sign to stop. It is confirmation you are crossing the line. Relief will come, not from stopping but from alignment, from no longer arguing with yourself, from no longer splitting your energy. There is peace in decision. There is freedom in commitment. And there is strength in knowing you will not negotiate with your future again. You are not abandoning your old self. You are outgrowing it. And as you step forward, something locks into place. Say it quietly if you must, but say it with certainty. I decide who I become. Hold that, because once you've crossed this line, there is no going back. Chapter 2. The identity you've been avoiding. You don't rise to goals. You fall to identity. This truth has been waiting for you longer than you realize. Every time effort started strong and faded. Every time motivation burned bright and then disappeared. Every time you promised change and found yourself repeating the same patterns. It was never because you lacked willpower. It was never because you weren't capable. It was because you were trying to act like someone you had not yet allowed yourself to be. Trying is exhausting. Trying requires constant force. Trying means pushing uphill against who you believe you are. Being is different. Being is quiet. Being is stable. Being pulls behavior into alignment without struggle. You've been trying to upgrade your actions without upgrading your identity. And identity always wins. This is why effort keeps failing you. And this is why identity never does. Right now, there is a version of you that you keep circling but not entering. You sense it. You feel it when you imagine your strongest self, your most disciplined self, your calm, decisive, grounded self. And every time you get close, something tightens inside. Not fear of failure, fear of responsibility. Because stepping into that identity means certain things end. Old excuses lose access. Old habits lose shelter. Old stories lose credibility. So you hover. You try. You delay the moment of full commitment. This chapter is that moment. You have been wearing a mask, not to deceive others, to protect yourself from the weight of your own potential. The mask says, I'm working on it. The mask says, I'm getting there. The mask says, one day. But identity does not live in one day. It lives in now. The discomfort you feel when you imagine becoming stronger is not danger. It is proof that you are approaching the edge of an old self that can no longer contain you. Growth always feels threatening to the identity you are leaving behind, because that identity knows it is about to lose control. Notice this carefully. The discomfort is not telling you to stop. It is telling you that you are close. Close to consistency. Close to certainty. Close to becoming someone who no longer needs motivation to move. This is where most people turn back. They interpret discomfort as misalignment. They call it stress. They call it pressure. They call it not the right time. You are learning to read it differently. Discomfort is the sound of expansion. It is the nervous system recalibrating. It is the moment identity begins to shift. You are not breaking. You are shedding. Trying keeps you safe. Being makes you responsible. Trying lets you keep options open. Being closes doors behind you. Trying says, I'll see how it goes. Being says, this is who I am. That sentence alone carries weight. This is who I am. Not who you want to be. Not who you hope to become. Who you choose to be now. Identity is not built by declarations alone. It is built by repetition under discomfort. You don't wake up one day confident. You wake up one day no longer questioning yourself. You don't wake up disciplined. You wake up one day no longer debating your standards. Imagine that. Imagine waking up already certain. No internal argument. No hesitation. No need to convince yourself. You move because movement is natural to who you are. This is what identity alignment feels like. Calm, direct, unavoidable. The old version of you relied on effort. Effort rises and falls. The emerging version of you relies on self-concept. Self-concept does not fluctuate with mood. This is why the shift feels heavy. Because effort asks, can I do this today? Identity states, this is what I do. You are not forcing yourself forward anymore. You are allowing yourself to step into a role that already exists. Leadership is not added later. It begins here, in the moment you stop performing strength and start embodying it. Drop the mask, not aggressively, gently, decisively. You do not need to announce it. You do not need validation. You only need to stop pretending you are still deciding. Step forward, not with urgency, with certainty. Every step taken from identity compounds. Every action confirms who you are becoming. Claim it, not loudly, internally. Claim responsibility for your standard. Claim ownership of your actions. Claim the discomfort as part of the process. This is not about perfection. This is about alignment. When your identity leads, behavior follows. When behavior follows, results become inevitable. You will notice something shift as you do this. Less friction, less resistance, more calm authority. You stop explaining yourself. You stop negotiating with your future. You simply act. This is what people mean when they say someone has presence. It is not charisma. It is coherence. Thoughts match actions. Actions match standards. Standards match identity. You are building that coherence now, and the old identity will test you. It will whisper familiarity. It will offer comfort. This is where courage becomes quiet discipline. You don't fight the old self. You outgrow it. You don't attack doubt. You starve it by acting without debate. Every aligned action weakens the old identity's grip. Every kept promise reinforces the new one. This is not dramatic. It is surgical. Day by day, choice by choice, you are not becoming someone else. You are becoming more you than ever before. The version of you that finishes. The version of you that leads. The version of you that does not need to be pushed. You will feel moments of uncertainty. That does not mean you are wrong. It means you are early. Identity solidifies through repetition, not reassurance. Keep moving. Soon effort will feel lighter. Not because the work changed, because you did. Soon discipline will feel natural. Not because it's easy, because it's aligned. Soon you will look back and realize you stopped trying without noticing, and in its place, something stronger appeared. Certainty. Hold this feeling, this quiet resolve, this grounded awareness. Say it now, without force, without doubt. I am ready. And as you move forward, understand this clearly. Once identity shifts, everything else must follow. Chapter 3. Why discipline feels heavy until it doesn't. Discipline has felt heavy to you for a reason. Not because you are weak, not because you lack drive, but because you have been carrying something that was never fully yours. Borrowed discipline is weight. Own discipline is structure. There is a difference, and once you feel it, everything changes. Borrowed discipline comes from pressure, from expectations, from urgency, from fear of falling behind. It works for a moment, then it collapses. Own discipline comes from identity, from alignment, from self-respect, from knowing who you are without debate. It does not collapse. It compounds. You have been forcing yourself forward, dragging discipline like a heavy pack, wondering why it drains you so quickly. You've been asking yourself to act like someone you have not fully claimed yet, and that creates friction. Discipline feels heavy when it is borrowed from a future identity you admire, but haven't stepped into. It feels heavy when it is powered by willpower instead of self-concept. It feels heavy when it asks you to override who you believe. That is not failure. That is feedback. The weight you feel is resistance between action and identity. Think about this carefully. When discipline is forced, every action requires negotiation. You argue with yourself. You bargain. You delay. You push. You pull. Energy leaks everywhere. When discipline is owned, action becomes automatic. You move without drama. You act without noise. You do not need to convince yourself. This is why some people appear calm while doing difficult things. It is not because the work is lighter. It is because the identity carrying it is stronger. Right now, you are in training, and training always feels heavier than performance. You are lifting weight before speed, building structure before flow, forging stability before ease. This is the phase where most people quit, not because they cannot handle the work, but because they misinterpret the weight. They think discipline should feel inspiring. They think it should feel empowering from the start. They think resistance means something is wrong. It doesn't. Resistance means growth is happening faster than identity is updating. That gap is temporary. Stay here. Discipline feels heavy because you are strengthening the muscles of consistency, because you are training the nervous system to tolerate discomfort without escape, because you are teaching yourself that delay does not mean denial. Delayed gratification is not punishment. It is self-respect in motion. Every time you choose the long term over the immediate, Something inside you straightens. Not loudly, quietly, you become someone who can be trusted. And trust changes everything. Most people struggle with discipline because they do not trust themselves. They make promises and break them. They set standards and negotiate them. They plan and abandon. So discipline feels like a cage instead of a choice. You are changing that relationship now. Each time you hold the line, you repair trust. Each time you stay steady, you reinforce identity. Each time you do what you said you would do, confidence stops being a feeling and becomes a fact. The tension you feel right now is not a warning. It is a threshold. You are strong enough to stay present in discomfort, strong enough to resist the pull of immediate relief, strong enough to let the process complete itself. Most people never let that happen. They quit at the peak of resistance, right before relief arrives. Understand this clearly. Resistance peaks before it dissolves. The body adapts. The mind recalibrates. The identity catches up. And suddenly, what once felt heavy feels normal, then lighter, then natural, not because the work changed, because you did. This is how discipline transforms from effort into expression. You stop asking yourself to be disciplined. You simply act as someone who is. That shift cannot be rushed. It must be trained. Wait before speed. You do not sprint with weak legs. You strengthen first. You stabilize first. You build capacity before velocity. Right now, you are building capacity. The days where discipline feels slow are not wasted. They are foundational. The days where nothing feels exciting, but you still show up, are the days that matter most, because they are not fueled by emotion. They are fueled by identity taking shape. Notice how your internal language is changing. Less drama, less urgency, more precision. You are no longer chasing motivation. You are establishing rhythm. Rhythm is power. A steady pace outlasts intensity. Consistency outperforms burst. Calm endurance defeats frantic effort. Stay steady, not because it feels good, because it builds who you are becoming. Hold the line, not against the world, against your own impulse to quit early. There will be moments where relief tempts you, moments where distraction offers comfort, moments where the old identity suggests you have done enough. This is where ownership is forged. You do not need to fight those impulses. You acknowledge them, and you continue. That simple choice changes the relationship you have with yourself. You stop being someone who needs to be pushed. You become someone who moves. The weight begins to shift. Discipline stops feeling like force and starts feeling like structure, like rails instead of chains, like support instead of strain. You realize discipline was never meant to energize you. It was meant to stabilize you. Stability creates freedom, not restriction. When your standards are firm, your mind relaxes. When decisions are pre-made, stress dissolves. When identity leads, energy flows. This is the relief phase, not dramatic, deep. You feel grounded, centered, capable. The noise quiets, and in that quiet, confidence grows. Not confidence that depends on outcomes, confidence that comes from reliability. You trust yourself to show up. You trust yourself to finish. You trust yourself to endure discomfort without escaping. That trust changes how you walk into challenges, how you speak, how you decide. You stop rushing. You stop forcing. You stop doubting every step. Discipline becomes something you rely on, not resent. You are no longer borrowing discipline from motivation. You are owning it through identity. This is the turning point. From here forward, the work remains demanding, but it is no longer heavy. It fits you. Your capacity has expanded. Your tolerance has increased. Your self-respect has deepened. You are no longer training to become disciplined. You are training as someone who is disciplined. That distinction matters. And as you move into the next phase, understand this. Speed will come. Ease will come. Flow will come. But only because you stayed under the weight long enough. Stay steady. Hold the line. You are closer than you think. Chapter 4. Silence is where power grows. There is a phase of growth that feels unfamiliar. Not loud. Not exciting. Quiet. This is where power begins to form. The strongest version of you does not announce itself. It does not explain. It does not seek permission or applause. It moves quietly. You have lived long enough in reaction, speaking before deciding, explaining before acting, seeking validation before trusting yourself. That phase has served its purpose. Now it dissolves. Silence is not weakness. Silence is compression. When energy stops leaking outward, It condenses inward. Focus sharpens. Intent hardens. Direction becomes clear. You are learning to keep your plans private, your standards internal, your progress unseen, not because you fear being judged, because you respect the process too much to interrupt it. Every time you speak too early, you dilute momentum. Every time you announce before execute, you invite noise. Opinions, doubt, distraction. Silence protects momentum. This is why powerful people appear calm. They are not processing externally. They have already decided internally. You are beginning to operate ahead of emotion, ahead of impulse, ahead of reaction. That is a rare skill. Emotion wants expression. Power wants direction. You no longer react immediately to discomfort. You observe it. You let it pass. You act anyway. This is composure being trained. Silence creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, leadership lives. You stop narrating your effort. You stop broadcasting your struggle. You stop asking others to confirm what you already know. This is not isolation. This is concentration. Most people exhaust themselves by talking through growth instead of growing. They seek relief through expression instead of strength through execution. You are choosing differently. You are building unseen. And that is uncomfortable at first, because silence removes external reinforcement. No one tells you you're doing well. No one claps. No one notices the discipline forming. Only you know. That is where real confidence is born. Confidence that does not need witnesses. Confidence that does not fluctuate with feedback. Confidence rooted in private integrity. Every silent repetition strengthens something inside you. Every unseen effort deepens authority. Every moment you resist the urge to explain builds restraint. Restraint is power. The urge to speak is often the urge to relieve pressure. But pressure, when held correctly, forges strength. You are learning to hold it. This is where the transformation accelerates. You begin to move without emotional permission. You do not wait to feel ready. You do not wait to feel inspired. You act from decision. Silence allows decisions to solidify. Words can weaken resolve if spoken too early. Silence lets resolve mature. Notice how your inner dialogue is changing. Less chaos, less urgency, more stillness. Stillness is not inactivity. It is control. You are not retreating from the world. You are stepping into command. Command does not shout. It does not explain. It does not rush. It moves with precision. Move in silence. Let your actions speak later. Build unseen. Let results arrive without warning. There will be moments when you want to announce progress. Moments when you want recognition. Moments when you want reassurance that you are on the right path. This is where discipline deepens. You resist the urge. You stay quiet. You continue. Each time you do, something locks in. You stop needing external confirmation because internal certainty replaces. This is emotional independence, and it changes everything. Now the intensity rises. Your old patterns will test you. They will provoke reaction. They will invite explanation. This is the first transformation peak. Stay with it. Short breaths, focused attention, direct movement, no explanation, no delay. You feel the pressure. Good. This is the edge where strength forms. Do not speak. Do not justify. Do not retreat. Move. Again and again. The body adapts. The mind quiets. The identity stabilizes. Silence sharpens perception. You notice more. You react less. You see opportunities others miss because they are too busy expressing. You hold position while others vent. This is advantage. Power is built when others are distracted. You are not hiding. You are honing. You are not avoiding connection. You are mastering self-command. As silence becomes natural, something surprising happens. Your presence grows. You speak less, but when you do, words carry weight. You act less emotionally, but more decisively. People sense stability. That stability attracts trust. This is leadership emerging quietly, not through volume, through consistency, not through dominance, through composure. You are becoming someone whose actions are reliable, someone whose word is measured, someone who does not need to prove strength. Strength is evident. Silence is where power grows because silence forces alignment. There is no performance, no distraction, just you and the standard, and you meet it day after day. The transformation is not dramatic. It is structural. You are restructuring how you relate to pressure, how you process emotion, how you move through resistance. You are no longer broadcasting effort. You are investing it. This is how confidence becomes permanent. Confidence earned privately cannot be taken publicly. Others may doubt. Others may question. Others may misunderstand. It does not matter. You are no longer building for their understanding. You are building for your future. The silence you hold today becomes authority tomorrow. Stay here. Let the quiet do its work. Say it internally, without sound, without force. I rise. And as you continue forward, remember this. The loud phase is over. The powerful phase has begun. You are moving now. Unseen. Unshakable. Chapter 5. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure has followed you longer than you admit. Not because you are failing, because you are growing. Pressure does not arrive to break you. It arrives to reveal you. Most people misunderstand this. They treat pressure like a threat, something to escape, something to reduce, something to survive. You are learning to see it differently. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the environment that forges leaders. Nothing strong is formed without heat. Nothing sharp is shaped without resistance. Nothing durable is built in comfort. Think of fire shaping steel, not destroying it, refining it. The steel does not argue with the heat. It does not resist the process. It holds position until it becomes something stronger. This is what pressure is asking of you. You have spent years avoiding pressure without realizing it, avoiding responsibility, avoiding hard conversations, avoiding discomfort that would demand growth, not out of weakness, out of misunderstanding. You thought pressure meant danger. You thought stress meant something was wrong. You thought fear meant you should slow down. Pressure is simply intensity applied to potential, and you have a lot of potential. Pressure feels overwhelming only when you resist it, when you brace against it, when you try to escape instead of engage. The moment you lean in, the relationship changes. Fear is not warning you to stop. Fear is energy that has not yet been directed. Stress is not crushing you. Stress is sharpening you. When pressure rises, something inside you tightens. Your senses heighten. Your focus narrows. Your awareness increases. This is not weakness. This is readiness. Pressure removes the unnecessary. It strips distraction. It forces precision. Under pressure, what matters becomes clear. What doesn't matter falls away. This is why leaders are not born in calm moments. They are revealed in demanding ones. Right now, pressure is pressing on you from multiple angles. Expectations, time, responsibility, uncertainty. You could wish it away. You could numb it. You could complain about it. Or you could use it. The moment you decide to use pressure, it stops feeling personal. It becomes a tool. Fire does not hate the steel. It does not target it. It's simple. Why applies heat? How the steel responds determines the outcome. You are learning to stay present inside pressure. Not tense, not reactive. Present. Presence changes everything. When you panic, pressure overwhelms. When you stay exact, pressure clarifies. Exact means focused. Exact means deliberate. Exact means controlled. Pressure punishes chaos. It rewards precision. This is why emotional control becomes critical. Pressure amplifies whatever you bring into it. Bring panic and it multiplies. Bring discipline and it sharpens. You are training yourself to bring discipline. Lean in, not aggressively, not recklessly, calmly. Leaning in means you stop flinching. You stop pulling away from challenge. You stop hoping it passes quickly. You stay. You breathe. You hold your posture. You focus on what is directly in front of you. Pressure does not require you to solve everything. It requires you to handle the next decision cleanly. One choice, one action, one exact movement. This is how pressure becomes manageable. People break under pressure because they project too far ahead. They imagine outcomes. They imagine failure. They imagine loss. You stay present. Fire does not rush the steel. It applies consistent heat. Pressure works the same way. You do not need to escape pressure to feel relief. Relief comes from competence under pressure. And competence is trained. Each time you remain steady under stress, something inside you recalibrates. Your nervous system learns that pressure is survivable. Your mind learns that clarity exists inside intensity. Fear begins to change shape. Instead of stopping you, it sharpens your attention. Instead of draining you, it fuels preparation. Fear becomes energy. You stop asking how to get rid of fear. You start asking how to use it. Fear keeps you alert. Fear keeps you precise. Fear keeps you honest. Without fear, people become careless. Without pressure, people become sloppy. You are being trained out of sloppiness. This phase is uncomfortable because it demands accuracy. No shortcuts, no emotional escapes, no unnecessary movement. Pressure exposes inefficiency. That is a gift. Every weakness revealed under pressure is an opportunity to strengthen. Every mistake is information. Every failure is feedback. You do not personalize it. You study it. Leaders are not those who feel less pressure. They are those who remain functional inside it. Imagine that. Imagine being calm where others break, focused where others panic, steady where others rush. This is not imagination for you. This is rehearsal. Your system is learning this response now. Each time you choose composure, you widen the gap between stimulus and reaction. That gap is where leadership lives. Pressure compresses time. Decisions must be made faster. Actions must be cleaner. This is why pressure accelerates growth. You do not have the luxury of hesitation. You do not have the space for overthinking. You move from instinct sharpened by discipline. This is where preparation pays dividends. All the quiet work, all the unseen discipline, all the silence. Pressure reveals it. When pressure hits someone unprepared, it overwhelms. When pressure hits someone trained, it activates. You are becoming trained. There will be moments where pressure feels suffocating, moments where your breath shortens, moments where your mind races. This is where most people collapse. This is where you stay exact. Exact with breathing, exact with posture, exact with decision-making. You slow internally while the environment accelerates. This is mastery. Fire does not destroy steel when the steel is meant to be forged. It tempers it. You are being tempered. Each exposure to pressure thickens resilience. Each controlled response builds confidence. Each survival expands capacity. Pressure does not make you weaker. It makes you more honest. It shows you where you still react emotionally, where you still seek escape, where you still doubt yourself. And instead of shaming you, it trains you. You adjust. You refine. You return. This is how leaders are built. Not in moments of praise, not in moments of ease, but in sustained demand. Pressure demands that you become someone who can be relied upon. By yourself first. You learn that you can handle more than you thought, that you can stay present longer than you believe. That discomfort does not equal collapse. Your confidence deepens, not the loud kind, the grounded kind. You stop being surprised by difficulty. You expect it. You plan for it. You move through it. Pressure becomes familiar, not threatening. This is where others begin to feel chaos, and you feel clarity. They rush. You slow. They react. You respond. They break. You bend, adapt, and return stronger. Imagine walking into high-pressure situations without tension in your chest, without noise in your head, without fear of being exposed. Imagine trusting your ability to handle whatever appears. This is where you are heading. Pressure no longer signals danger. It signals opportunity to demonstrate control. You do not chase pressure. You do not avoid it. You meet it. Lean in. Stay exact. Exact does not mean rigid. It means intentional. Exact means knowing when to push and when to pause, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to hold. Pressure teaches discernment. The fire does not burn forever. It heats, shapes, and releases. So does pressure. After the peak, there is relief. Not because the pressure ends, because you have expanded. What once felt overwhelming now feels manageable. What once felt heavy now feels structured. You have more room inside yourself. This is capacity. Capacity is built only under load. And now, as you step forward, understand this clearly. Pressure will continue to rise as your standards rise. That is not a problem. That is confirmation. You are moving into arenas that demand more of you. And you are ready, not because you feel fearless, but because you know how to move with fear. Not because stress disappears, but because stress sharpens instead of suffocates. You are no longer trying to escape pressure. You are learning to command yourself within it. Fire shaping steel. Lean in. Stay exact. And imagine this becoming your default state. Calm when others break. Focused when others scatter. Grounded when others panic. This is not something you wait for. It is something you train. And the training is working. Chapter 6. The Death of the Old Timeline. There is a moment when growth requires something to end. Not dramatically, not violently, completely. This is that moment. Your past no longer predicts you. not because it disappears, but because it loses authority. For a long time, your history has spoken louder than your intention. Old habits, old reactions, old stories about who you are and what is possible. They shaped decisions without asking permission. They pulled you backward quietly. They convinced you that change had limits. That era ends here. This chapter is not about fixing the past. It is about releasing it. No guilt, no shame, no judgment, just release. You are not here to punish who you were. You are here to stop dragging that version of you into a future it does not belong in. There is a timeline you have been living inside. A predictable loop. Same thoughts, same responses, same outcomes, not because you chose it consciously, because it was familiar. Familiarity is powerful. It feels safe even when it keeps you small. Your nervous system learned this timeline. Your mind memorized it. Your identity adapted to it. And now it must be retired, not repaired, not optimized, ended. This is where emotional attachment must be severed. Attachment to who you were when you struggled. Attachment to the identity built around survival. Attachment to the version of you that made sense in a smaller life. You don't hate that version. You thank it. It carried you here, but it cannot carry you forward. Growth demands a clean break. You have been trying to upgrade your future while keeping emotional loyalty to your past. That creates drag. You feel it as hesitation, as doubt, as a sense of being pulled backward when you try to move ahead. That pull is not weakness. It is attachment. Attachment to old timelines. Timelines where you reacted instead of responded, where you waited instead of decided, where you negotiated instead of commanded. Those timelines are complete. Say that internally. Complete. Completion does not mean failure. It means the lesson has been learned. Now listen carefully. The past has no power except the power you keep giving it. Memories only predict you when you consult them before deciding. You are no longer required to reference who you were to choose who you are becoming. This is the moment where identity detaches from history, and that moment is uncomfortable because the old timeline will resist. It will whisper logic. It will remind you of past mistakes. It will replay moments of failure and try to convince you they define you. This is the test. High intensity, short decisions, no debate. You do not argue with the past. You release it. Release it. Let it go. The old timeline survives on emotional energy. When you stop feeding it, it dissolves. You may feel grief, not because you are losing something bad, because you are closing something familiar. Grief does not mean you are wrong. It means you are ending an identity. That deserves respect, but it does not deserve control. There is a moment here where the intensity rises sharply, where the old patterns surge one last time. This is transformation peak. Stay with it. Do not numb it. Do not distract yourself. Do not escape. Stand inside it. This is the emotional finality. Short commands now. Clear. Direct. Release it. Let it go. Again. Release it. Let it go. The past cannot follow you if you stop carrying it. Notice what happens when you stop explaining your past to yourself. When you stop justifying your limits. When you stop replaying OLD outcomes as evidence. Space opens. That space is where the new timeline forms. A timeline where decisions are not filtered through memory, where action is not delayed by fear of repetition, where identity leads without apology. This is not denial. This is authority. Authority over your own narrative. You are not erasing your past. You are placing it behind you. Behind you is where it belongs. In front of you is capacity. Unwritten, unclaimed. This is where people often hesitate, because uncertainty feels risky. But uncertainty is clean. Old timelines are heavy because they are crowded with assumptions. New timelines feel empty because they are free. Freedom feels unfamiliar before it feels empowering. Give it time. Right now, your system is recalibrating. The nervous system releases old reference points. The mind loosens its grip on identity based on memory. This feels like loss before it feels like liberation. Stay present. You are not losing yourself. You are losing constraints. This is the moment you stop saying, "I've always been like this." This is the moment you stop predicting yourself based on history. This is the moment you stop assuming the future must resemble the past. That assumption ends now. High intensity again. Listen closely. You are not your past decisions. You are not your previous discipline level. You are not your old reactions. Those were data points, not definitions. The only thing that defines you now is what you choose repeatedly from this point forward. Release it. Let it go. Say it without anger. Say it with authority. Release it. Let it go. Feel the weight drop. You may notice resistance easing, breathing deepening, thoughts slowing. This is relief beginning. Relief does not come from fixing the past. It comes from no longer living inside it. There is nothing to prove to who you were. There is nothing to explain. There is nothing to correct. The chapter is closed. Now something subtle happens. When the past releases its grip, the future stops feeling intimidating, because the fear was never about what might happen. It was about what might repeat. That fear dissolves here. You are no longer bound to repeat anything. Patterns require participation. You have withdrawn consent. That is power. You are not trying to become someone new overnight. You are allowing a new timeline to begin cleanly, one decision at a time, one action at a time, without emotional debt. This is how real change becomes possible. Notice how your posture shifts internally. Less guarded, less defensive, more open. This openness is strength. You are no longer bracing against the past. You are facing forward. Forward is where growth accelerates. Now anchor this moment. Say it clearly. I choose growth, not perfection, not speed. Growth. Growth allows mistakes without identity collapse. Growth allows learning without shame. Growth allows progress without pressure to be flawless. This choice stabilizes everything. From here on, when old thoughts appear, you recognize them, but you do not obey them. You acknowledge them, and you return to the present. That is mastery. You have officially ended the old timeline. It will try to reappear, not because it is powerful, because habits echo, but echoes fade when they are not answered. You will not answer them. You will move. This chapter does not end with fireworks. It ends with quiet certainty, a certainty that the future is no longer constrained by memory, a certainty that you are free to act without reference, a certainty that you are not becoming someone else. You are becoming unburdened. Hold this feeling, this clean edge, this emotional finality. The old timeline is complete. The new one has begun, and everything from here forward will be chosen, not inherited. Chapter 7. Becoming dangerous through consistency. There is a kind of strength that does not announce itself. It does not rush. It does not spike. It does not fade. It accumulates. This is the strength you are building now. Consistency is not exciting at first. It is quiet, repetitive, unremarkable on the surface, and that is exactly why it works. Most people look for intensity. They chase motivation. They wait for emotional highs to carry them forward. You are learning something more powerful. Consistency makes you inevitable, not because each action is impressive, but because none of them stop. This is where danger is born, not the reckless kind, the unstoppable kind. You have already learned discipline. You have learned silence. You have learned how to hold pressure. Now you learn how to apply effort in a way that compounds. No drama, no spikes, just precision. Most people sabotage themselves by being inconsistent. They work hard for a moment, then disappear. They surge, then collapse. They confuse motion with progress. You are done with that cycle. Consistency does not rely on emotion. It relies on structure. It does not ask how you feel. It asks what you do. Every small action, repeated daily, sends a message to your identity. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I can be trusted to repeat. Trust is built through repetition, not just trust from others, trust from yourself. And self-trust is lethal in the best way. When you trust yourself, hesitation disappears. You stop second-guessing. You stop renegotiating. You move cleanly. That is dangerous. Think of water carving stone, not through force, through persistence. Water does not rush. It does not get emotional. It does not question the rock. It simply returns, again and again and again. Over time, the stone yields. This is how consistency works. You are not trying to overpower resistance. You are outlasting it. This is where most people misunderstand progress. They underestimate what daily action does over time. They overestimate what bursts of effort accomplish. You are reversing that mistake. Small actions feel insignificant in isolation. That is their disguise, because when repeated, they create momentum that is difficult to stop. Momentum changes how effort feels, At first you push, later you guide. At first, consistency feels manual, later it feels automatic. This is the transition you are in. There will be days where showing up feels ordinary, days where nothing feels dramatic, days where progress seems invisible. Those days are the most important ones because they are not fueled by emotion. They are fueled by identity. You are training yourself to act without needing to feel special. That skill separates amateurs from professionals, dreamers from finishers, potential from inevitability. Consistency removes choice from the equation. You no longer wake up asking what you should do. You already know. This reduces friction. It conserves energy. It creates clarity. Clarity creates speed, but not frantic speed. Sustainable speed, the kind that carries you far. You are no longer chasing results. You are installing systems. Systems do not argue. They do not negotiate. They do not require motivation. They run. Each time you show up, you reinforce the system. Each time you repeat, you deepen the groove. The groove becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. This is how consistency becomes dangerous, because once identity locks in, stopping feels unnatural. You do not have to push yourself. You have to restrain yourself. This is when people start to notice, not because you announce progress, because results arrive quietly. Others ask how you stay so steady, how you keep moving without burning out. The answer is simple. You stopped relying on intensity. You chose rhythm. Rhythm is powerful. It keeps you moving when excitement fades. It carries you through resistance. It outlasts obstacles. Most people quit not because something is hard, but because something is boring. You are mastering boredom. That alone gives you an advantage. Consistency also removes fear. Fear feeds on uncertainty. When your actions are predictable, fear loses leverage. You no longer wonder if you will act. You know you will. This certainty calms the mind. A calm mind sees clearly. A clear mind makes better decisions. Better decisions compound. This is how consistency multiplies beyond effort. It sharpens judgment. It strengthens discipline. It stabilizes emotion. You begin to trust the process because you are the process. No doctor. Ahmed. Drama wastes energy. Spikes exhaust the system. Crashes erode confidence. You have stepped out of that pattern. Your growth is quieter now, more grounded, more reliable. That reliability is intimidating, not because you threaten others, but because you cannot be easily stopped. Consistency creates inevitability because it removes dependence on circumstances. Good day or bad day, you show up. High energy or low energy, you repeat. Clear mind or noisy mind, you execute. This is not robotic. It is disciplined humanity. You still feel, you still think, you still adapt, but you do not stall. You move even when the movement feels small. Small movements add up. Most people never stay long enough to see compounding. They quit in the linear phase. You stayed. Now the curve begins to bend. You will notice that things once difficult feel manageable. Things once heavy feel lighter. Things once confusing feel clear. Not because they changed, because you did. Your tolerance has increased. Your capacity has expanded. Your patience has matured. Consistency builds patience. Patience is not passive. It is controlled momentum. You are not rushing outcomes. You are letting time work for you instead of against you. This is a strategic advantage. Water does not rush the stone. It trusts time. You are learning to trust time, but not passively, actively, by showing up, by repeating. Each repetition strengthens something invisible. Neural pathways, emotional regulation, decision speed. You are becoming efficient. Efficiency is dangerous. It means you waste less energy doubting, less energy hesitating, less energy reacting. More energy goes directly into execution. This is when progress accelerates quietly. People assume you are lucky. They assume things came easily. They assume you changed overnight. They did not see the repetition. They did not see the patience. They did not see the ordinary days. You did, and that is enough. Consistency also builds resilience. When setbacks come, you do not collapse. You return. Return is power. You do not dramatize failure. You do not personalize resistance. You adjust. You continue. This removes emotional volatility. Volatility drains momentum. Stability builds it. You are building stability. Day after day, you no longer need to convince yourself of your commitment. Your actions prove it. This is self-respect in motion. When you respect yourself, discipline becomes natural. When discipline is natural, progress becomes steady. When progress is steady, confidence becomes unshakable. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that does not need reassurance. This is why consistency makes you dangerous, because you are not dependent on inspiration. You are not thrown off by setbacks. You are not distracted by comparison. You are focused on repetition. Others spike and crash. You advance. Others start and stop. You continue. Others announce. You execute. Over time, the gap widens. Not because you are better, because you stayed. Water carving stone. This metaphor matters because it removes urgency. You do not need to rush your growth. You need to maintain it. Growth that is rushed fractures. Growth that is steady solidifies. You are solidifying. There will be moments where impatience appears. Moments where you want faster results. Moments where you wonder if it is working. This is when consistency matters most. You show up anyway. You repeat anyway. Not because you see immediate payoff, because you trust accumulation. Accumulation never lies. Every day you show up is a vote for the person you are becoming. One vote seems small. Thousands decide identity. You are casting those votes now. Show up, not with drama, with presence. Repeat, not mindlessly, precisely. Precision means you pay attention. You refine. You improve small details. Consistency does not mean doing the same thing blindly. It means doing the right thing repeatedly, with awareness. This is how mastery forms. Mastery is not a single breakthrough. It is a long conversation with repetition. You are deep in that conversation now, and something is changing. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. You no longer seek shortcuts. You no longer need urgency to act. You are steady. Steadiness is intimidating because it signals endurance. Endurance wins. This chapter is not about doing more. It is about doing enough, long enough. Enough effort, long enough time. That combination is rare. You are becoming rare, not in personality, in reliability. Reliability is leadership. People trust those who are consistent. Systems reward those who repeat. Life opens doors to those who persist. You are aligning with that truth. This is not glamorous. It is effective. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Days when you question if anything is changing. This is when you remember the stone. The stone does not crack on the first drop, or the 100th, or the 1000th. Then one day it yields. Not suddenly, inevitably. You are closer than you think. Consistency compresses time. It brings future results into reach. You do not need to see the end. You need to trust the repetition. That trust is earned by showing up again and again and again. This is how people become unstoppable without trying to be. They stop chasing breakthroughs. They build foundations. Foundations support everything. You are building one now. Quietly, steadily, relentlessly. Show up. Repeat. Let time do what it always does for those who refuse to stop. You are becoming inevitable. Chapter 8. Leadership begins when no one is watching. Leadership does not begin in front of people. It begins in private, long before anyone listens to you, long before anyone follows you, long before your decisions affect others. It begins with how you command yourself when no one is watching. This is where most people misunderstand leadership. They associate it with visibility, with authority, with recognition. But real leadership is quieter than that. Real leadership is self-command. It is doing what you said you would do when there is no reward for it. No praise, no pressure, no consequences from the outside. Only you. This is where identity is proven. You can perform discipline when eyes are on you. You can act confident when approval is available. You can appear strong when accountability is external. But who are you when none of that exists? Who are you when it is just you, a decision and the option to delay? That is leadership. You are learning to lead yourself first. And that is the hardest form of leadership there is, because there is no applause for private integrity. No one sees the restraint. No one notices the discipline. No one tracks the promises you keep to yourself, except you. And that is enough. You have already felt this shift beginning, a subtle tightening of standards, a refusal to let yourself slide, a growing discomfort with broken promises, not to others but to yourself. That discomfort is not pressure. It is respect forming. Self-respect is the foundation of leadership. Without it, authority is hollow. With it, authority is natural. You do not need to dominate. You do not need to convince. You do not need to assert. Your presence carries weight because your actions are aligned. Alignment is rare. Most people live fragmented lives. They say one thing and do another. They plan one version of themselves and live another. They promise and renegotiate until promises mean nothing. That fragmentation erodes confidence. Not loudly, internally. You feel it as hesitation, as doubt, as a quiet lack of trust in your own word. You are repairing that now. Every time you do what you said you would do, something seals. A gap closes. A fracture heals. You become whole. Wholeness is power. Leadership does not come from charisma. It comes from coherence. Thoughts align with actions. Actions align with standards. Standards align with identity. When those align, leadership is inevitable. This is why leadership begins when no one is watching, because that is where coherence is built. You are no longer performing discipline. You are practicing command. Command is not force. It is clarity. It is knowing what must be done and doing it without debate. Debate weakens command. Decision strengthens it. You have spent years negotiating with yourself. Now you are issuing instructions and following them. That alone changes how you move through the world. You walk differently when you trust yourself. You speak differently when your word has weight. You decide faster when you know you will follow through. This is internal authority. Internal authority always precedes external leadership. People can sense it. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel it. A steadiness, a reliability, a calm certainty. That certainty is built in private. Every morning you keep a promise. Every night you finish what you started. Every time you resist the urge to delay. These moments do not look impressive. They are not dramatic. They are decisive, and they compound. Most people wait to be watched before they perform. They need deadlines. They need supervision. They need consequences. You are becoming someone who does not. You act because it is aligned, not because it is enforced. That is leadership maturity. This is why self-command feels heavy at first, because there is no external pressure pushing you forward. You are the pressure. You are also the standard. And that is uncomfortable until it becomes natural. At first, leading yourself feels lonely, because no one sees the effort. No one understands the restraint. This is where many people drift back into comfort. They crave visibility. They crave validation. They crave someone else to set the rules. You stay. You stay with the quiet responsibility. And something shifts. You stop needing someone to tell you what to do. You stop needing permission to act. You stop waiting for clarity to arrive from outside. You generate clarity. This is where leadership crosses from concept to identity. You are no longer someone who hopes to lead. You are someone who leads yourself. That leadership shows up in small ways. You finish tasks even when energy drops. You keep commitments even when excuses appear. You maintain standards even when no one would know if you didn't. These choices form character. Character is leadership in its most durable form. You cannot fake it. You cannot rush it. You cannot borrow it. It is built decision by decision. You are building it now. There will be days when the temptation to cut corners is strong. Days when no one would notice if you stopped early. Days when quitting quietly seems harmless. This is where self-command is tested. Not with pressure, with freedom. Freedom reveals who you truly are. When there are no consequences, what do you choose? When no one is watching, do you hold the line? You are learning to answer yes. Not loudly, consistently. Hold your word. Not the words you say publicly, the ones you say internally. The commitments no one else hears. Finish. Not because it feels good, because it reinforces who you are. Finishing builds identity faster than starting ever will. Starters are common. Finishers are rare. Finishers trust themselves. Trust creates calm. Calm creates authority. Authority creates leadership. This chain begins in private. You do not need to rush this process. You need to respect it. Leadership that grows slowly lasts longer. Leadership built on integrity does not collapse under pressure. You are building something durable. There will be moments when this feels thankless, when progress feels invisible, when effort feels unacknowledged. This is where leadership is purified. You are no longer motivated by recognition. You are driven by alignment. Alignment does not need applause. It creates peace. Peace does not mean ease. It means internal agreement. You stop fighting yourself. You stop bargaining. You stop fragmenting your energy. Everything points in one direction, forward. This is self-command, and it changes how you respond to challenges. You do not panic as easily. You do not react impulsively. You do not abandon your standards under stress, because you have practiced command when it mattered least. So when it matters most, it holds. This is how leaders are formed, not in moments of visibility, but in seasons of obscurity. Obscurity trains resilience. It forces you to rely on internal standards. You are no longer building for an audience. You are building for your future. That future will demand leadership. And when it does, you will not be surprised. You will be prepared. Prepared because you led yourself first. You will notice something else happening now. Your tolerance for inconsistency drops. Your patience for excuses fades. Your respect for your own time increases. This is not rigidity. It is maturity. You are becoming someone who takes themselves seriously, not arrogantly, responsibly. Responsibility is leadership's core. You take responsibility for your actions, your decisions, your follow-through. You stop blaming circumstances, not because circumstances don't matter, but because command matters more. You can't control everything, but you can control yourself. That is enough. This internal leadership begins to spill outward naturally. People notice that you are reliable, that you finish, that you do not overpromise. They begin to trust you. Trust attracts responsibility. Responsibility grows influence. Influence expands leadership. But none of that is chased. It emerges because you did the private work, because you led yourself when no one was watching. This chapter is not about inspiring others. It is about stabilizing yourself. A stable leader is calm under pressure. A stable leader is consistent under stress. A stable leader is predictable in integrity. You are becoming stable. Stability is rare and valuable. It creates safety for others, clarity for teams, direction for systems. But first, it creates peace within you. That peace does not mean comfort. It means confidence. Confidence that you will do what needs to be done. Confidence that you will not abandon yourself. Confidence that you can be relied upon. Say it internally. I lead myself, not as a mantra, as a statement of fact. You are leading yourself every time you choose action over avoidance. Every time you finish instead of drifting. Every time you hold your word instead of negotiating it away. This leadership will be tested. Soon, there will be moments ahead where pressure returns, where stakes rise, where others depend on your steadiness. Those moments will not feel foreign because you have practiced. You practiced in silence. You practiced without witnesses. You practiced without reward. And that practice made you ready. This chapter does not end with noise. It ends with resolve. A quiet, grounded resolve that you are no longer waiting to become a leader. You are one because leadership began the moment you chose to command yourself. And from here forward, everything you build will rest on that foundation. Strong, silent, unshakable. Chapter 9, the day you stop reacting. There is a day when something inside you finally slows down. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop letting life pull you around. This is that day. Reaction has been running your nervous system for years. Small triggers, unexpected pressure, other people's emotions, random setbacks. Each one pulling a response out of you before you chose it. Reaction feels normal because it is common. But common is not powerful. Reaction is weakness, not moral weakness. Structural weakness, because reaction hands control to whatever appears first. Response is different. Response is power. Power begins the moment you stop being pulled and start choosing. Most people think emotional regulation means suppressing feeling. It does not. It means mastering timing. You still feel. You still register impact, but you no longer let emotion drive action. You act from command, not mood. This skill alone changes everything. Right now, your body is used to quick loops. Stimulus, emotion, action. Someone speaks. You react. Something goes wrong. You react. Pressure rises. You react. Those reactions may feel justified. They may even feel intelligent, but they are still reactions. And reactions cost you authority. Every time you react automatically, you confirm that something outside you is in control. Every time you respond deliberately, you reclaim command. This is the pivot. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. Clarity requires space. Space requires pause. This is where leadership begins to separate itself from impulse. You are training a new sequence. Stimulus, pause, choice, action. That pause is everything. At first it feels uncomfortable because reaction is fast and familiar. Pause feels slow, exposed, but pause is not hesitation. Pause is precision. It is the space where power lives. Most people never enter that space. They live their lives inside reflex, inside habit, inside conditioned responses. You are stepping out of that. This is why it feels like effort at first. Your system is recalibrating. Emotion rises. Your body prepares to react. And instead of releasing it outward, you hold it, not suppressing, containing. Containment builds strength. This is how leaders stay calm in chaos, not because they feel less, because they choose more. You begin to notice patterns. Certain situations trigger you, certain tones, certain pressures. This awareness is not for judgment. It is for mastery. You cannot command what you do not see. So you observe. When emotion spikes, you pause. You do not rush to express. You do not rush to explain. You do not rush to fix. You breathe. You feel the urge. And you wait. Waiting does not weaken you. It strengthens you. Because most reactions burn themselves out quickly if they are not obeyed. Emotion peaks, then falls. This is biology. You are learning to ride that wave instead of being thrown by. This is emotional regulation as a leadership skill, not therapy, not analysis. Command. The first few times you do this, it feels unnatural because you have trained reaction for years. But each pause rewires something. The nervous system learns that urgency does not equal danger. The mind learns that not every feeling requires action. The identity learns that control is available. This is not about becoming passive. It is about becoming precise. Precision always beats speed. Reaction is fast but sloppy. Response is slower but exact. Exact decisions create better outcomes. This is where the pace increases. Transformation peak. Listen closely. Fast situations do not require fast reactions. They require clear decisions. Urgency is often an illusion. Pressure tries to convince you that you must act now. You don't. You must choose well. Pause. That single command interrupts chaos. Pause before speaking. Pause before deciding. Pause before committing. In that pause, you check alignment. Is this action driven by emotion or identity? Is this response serving the long term or the immediate relief? Is this choice consistent with who I am becoming? This takes seconds, but it changes outcomes. Most regret comes from action taken without pause. You are eliminating regret at the source. Choose. Choice is power. Choice returns authorship to you. When you choose, you are no longer reacting to life. You are directing yourself within it. This distinction matters. Reaction feels justified. Response feels intentional. Reaction drains energy. Response consolidates it. Reaction creates noise. Response creates clarity. This is why leaders appear calm under pressure. They are not calm because they are detached. They are calm because they are choosing. You are training that now. The world does not slow down for you. Demands remain. Stress remains. People remain unpredictable. What changes is your internal posture. You stop leaning forward emotionally. You sit back internally. This internal posture gives you leverage. Leverage over your words. Leverage over your decisions. Leverage over your energy. Energy management is leadership. Reaction leaks energy everywhere. Response directs it. When you stop reacting, you stop feeding unnecessary conflict. You stop escalating situations that do not require it. You stop draining yourself with emotional overengagement. This does not make you passive. It makes you efficient. Efficiency is powerful. You speak less but with more impact. You act less impulsively but more effectively. People notice. They sense that you are not easily shaken, that you are not pulled into every emotional current. This is presence. Presence comes from regulation. Regulation comes from pause. Pause comes from choice. Choice comes from identity. You are now operating from identity. There will be moments where reaction still tries to surface. Old patterns do not disappear overnight. The difference now is awareness. You notice the urge before it takes over. That noticing is the opening. In that opening, you insert command. Pause. Choose. Again and again. This repetition trains leadership faster than motivation ever could. You are no longer asking, "How should I feel?" You are asking, What is required here? Requirement is objective. Mood is subjective. Leaders prioritize requirement. This does not make you less human. It makes you more reliable. Reliability creates trust. Trust creates influence. Influence expands leadership. All of it begins with regulation. You start to realize something important. Most situations do not require emotional intensity. They require clarity. Most conflicts do not require reaction. They require boundaries. Most pressure does not require speed. It requires steadiness. Steadiness is trained here. Each time you pause, you strengthen your nervous system. Each time you choose deliberately, you strengthen your identity. This compounds. Soon reaction loses its grip, not because emotion disappears, but because it no longer commands. Emotion becomes information, not instruction. That is mastery. You still feel anger. You still feel fear. You still feel urgency, but you do not obey automatically. You decide. This is where leadership becomes visible. Others may react loudly. You respond calmly. Others may rush. You move deliberately. Others may escalate. You de-escalate or disengage. This contrast creates authority, not forced authority, natural authority. People trust those who are regulated because regulation signals safety, stability, control. You become someone others can rely on in uncertain moments. That reliability begins inside. This chapter is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself. Self-control is the highest leverage skill you can develop. Without it, talent leaks. Without it, discipline collapses. Without it, leadership fractures under pressure. With it, everything stabilizes. You will notice something else as reaction fades. Your mind becomes quieter, not empty, focused. Thoughts slow down. Decisions become simpler. You stop replaying conversations. You stop anticipating conflict. You stop living ahead of the moment emotionally. This creates presence. Presence enhances performance. Performance builds confidence. Confidence reinforces regulation. This loop feeds itself. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive. Response is intentional action aligned with identity. This is the difference between surviving pressure and using it. When pressure hits now, you pause. You choose. You act. No drama. No panic. This is not suppression. This is sovereignty. You are sovereign over your internal state. That sovereignty is not absolute, but it is sufficient. You will still make mistakes. You will still react occasionally. The difference is recovery. You recover faster. You recenter quicker. You do not spiral. That resilience is leadership maturity. You do not need perfection. You need regulation. As this skill deepens, you notice life feels less exhausting, not because problems disappear, because you stop amplifying them. Reaction multiplies stress. Response contains it. Containment reduces fatigue. You conserve energy for what matters. This changes how you experience your days. Less emotional whiplash, less internal noise, more control. Control creates freedom. Freedom to choose your battles. Freedom to engage or disengage. Freedom to act with intention. This freedom is not dramatic. It is grounding. You feel more solid, more centered, more capable. This is the day you stop reacting. Not once, repeatedly. Every pause is a victory. Every deliberate choice is a reinforcement. You are no longer ruled by impulse. You are leading yourself. And that leadership shows up everywhere. In conversations, in conflict, in decision-making, in pressure. This is a turning point. From here forward, emotional intensity no longer scares you because you know how to handle it. You do not fear stress. You manage it. You do not fear confrontation. You navigate it. You do not fear uncertainty. You remain present within it. This presence changes outcomes. Now anchor this. Short commands. Clear. Final. Pause. Not to escape. To choose. Choose. Not based on feeling. Based on identity. This is your new sequence. And once learned, it cannot be unlearned. You have stepped out of reaction. You have stepped into response. And from this point forward, every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice command. That practice will be tested soon, and you will be ready. Chapter 10. Delayed gratification creates freedom. Freedom is not found where most people look for it. It is not found in ease. It is not found in comfort. It is not found in doing what feels good now. Freedom is built slowly, quietly, deliberately. Short-term pain builds long-term dominance. That sentence must land fully inside you because it contradicts everything the world trains you to believe. You are surrounded by systems designed to offer relief. Immediate answers, instant pleasure, quick escapes. Relief is everywhere, and yet freedom is rare. This is not an accident. Most people confuse relief with freedom. They chase the feeling of less pressure, less discomfort, less effort. They believe that once the pain stops, freedom begins. But relief is temporary. Freedom is structural. Relief soothes the moment. Freedom reshapes the future. You are learning to see that difference now. Delayed gratification is not about suffering. It is about direction. It is the ability to tolerate short-term discomfort without abandoning long-term vision. It is the capacity to sit inside tension without needing to escape it immediately. It is restraint applied with intelligence. This skill separates those who feel free occasionally from those who become free permanently. At first, restraint feels like loss. You don't take what you could. You don't react when you want to. You don't choose the easiest option available. The nervous system resists this. The mind protests. The old identity demands relief. This is where most people break. They mistake discomfort for deprivation. They assume patience means missing out. They believe restraint equals weakness. They are wrong. Restraint is strength under control. The strongest people you will ever meet are not impulsive. They are not reactive. They are not constantly chasing relief. They are composed. They are selective. They are deliberate. They understand something fundamental. Every shortcut has a cost. Every escape delays growth. Every moment of relief, borrowed from the future, demands repayment with interest. You have felt this before. You chose comfort over effort and paid later. You chose distraction over focus and paid later. You chose relief over discipline and paid later. The bill always arrives. Delayed gratification is how you stop paying interest on your own potential. Instead of asking, what makes this easier right now? You ask, what makes this stronger later? That question changes decision. It changes how you use time. It changes how you manage energy. It changes what you tolerate from yourself. You stop chasing relief. You start building freedom. Freedom is the ability to choose difficulty now, so you don't live in limitation later. Most people do the opposite. They avoid difficulty now and accept limitation later. You are reversing that pattern. This reversal is uncomfortable at first because immediate relief is seductive. It promises comfort without consequence. It whispers that you deserve ease now, but ease now often steals ease later. You are learning to hear that whisper without obeying it. This is patience being trained, not passive patience, active patience, patience that holds position while seeds grow. Planting seeds in silence. This metaphor matters because it reframes waiting. Waiting is not stagnation. Waiting is investment. When a seed is planted, nothing appears to happen for a long time. No visible progress. No external confirmation. Underground, everything is happening. Roots form. Structure builds. Strength accumulates. If you dig up the seed to check its progress, you kill it. Most people dig up their progress constantly. They interrupt growth by demanding proof too early. They abandon the process because they do not see immediate results. You are learning to leave the seed alone, to water it, to protect it, to trust the unseen phase. This is delayed gratification in its purest form. You act without immediate reward. You commit without instant feedback. You endure without applause. This builds something rare, inner stability. Stability does not come from having everything now. It comes from knowing you are building something durable. Delayed gratification shifts your relationship with time. You stop rushing outcomes. You stop panicking about progress. You stop demanding instant validation. Time becomes an ally instead of a threat. This is how long-term dominance is built. Dominance does not mean control over others. It means command over yourself across time. You do not collapse under boredom. You do not break under waiting. You do not sabotage progress because it is slow. You endure. Endurance is freedom, because endurance gives you options. People without endurance are trapped by impulse. People without restraint are ruled by urgency. People without patience live at the mercy of their emotions. You are exiting that trap. You are choosing long-term strength. This choice shows up in small moments. When you choose rest instead of distraction. When you choose preparation instead of indulgence. When you choose silence instead of reaction. These choices seem insignificant. They are not. They are deposits. Each one deposits strength into the future version of you. You may not feel powerful in these moments. You may feel restricted, limited, even frustrated. This is temporary, because restraint expands capacity. When you deny yourself immediate relief, you stretch tolerance. When tolerance stretches, capacity grows. When capacity grows, freedom expands. Freedom is not the absence of constraint. It is the ability to choose constraint intentionally. You are learning to choose. This is where vision becomes essential. Delayed gratification requires you to see beyond the moment, to hold a picture of who you are becoming when who you are now feels impatient. This future version of you is calmer, more capable, more stable. This version is not rushed, not desperate, not reactive. This version has options. Options come from preparation. Preparation requires patience. You are preparing. The world will not celebrate this phase. It does not reward restraint. It does not praise silence. It does not applaud waiting. That is why so few people master it. But you are not building for applause. You are building for freedom. Freedom to say no when others must say yes. Freedom to wait when others rush. Freedom to choose quality over speed. This freedom changes everything. You begin to notice that impulsive people are exhausted. They are always chasing the next relief, the next distraction, the next hit of comfort. They look busy, but they are trapped. You are becoming calm, deliberate, grounded. This calm is not passivity. It is restraint with direction. Short-term pain builds long-term dominance. Pain is not the goal. Growth is. Pain is simply the cost of expansion. You do not seek pain. You accept it when it appears. You understand that discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is often a signal that you are investing correctly. This understanding stabilizes you. You stop reacting to discomfort emotionally. You stop interpreting it personally. You ask better questions. Is this discomfort aligned with my future? Is this restraint building capacity? Is this patience strengthening identity? If the answer is yes, you stay. Staying is power. Most people leave too early. They quit at the moment when growth is most active. You remain. Remaining builds credibility with yourself. Self-credibility creates confidence. Confidence makes patience. This is a reinforcing loop. Delayed gratification also clarifies priorities. When you stop chasing immediate pleasure, you see what truly matters. Noise fades. Distractions lose appeal. You become selective. Selectivity is strength. You do not waste energy everywhere. You invest it where it compounds. This investment mindset transforms how you work, how you train, how you relate. You stop seeking emotional payoff in every action. You stop demanding that everything feel good. You become comfortable with neutral days. Neutral days are dangerous to the impatient. They are productive to the disciplined. On neutral days, nothing pushes you forward. Nothing pulls you back. Only identity moves you. You move. That is delayed gratification in action. You may notice that as restraint grows, urgency fades. You stop feeling behind. You stop racing imaginary deadlines. This does not slow you down. It stabilizes you. Stability allows sustained effort. Sustained effort builds dominance. Dominance is not loud. It is consistent. You do not need to announce your patience. You do not need to explain your restraint. It shows in outcomes. Outcomes arrive quietly when seeds mature. This is why planting seeds in silence matters. Silence prevents premature evaluation. Silence protects growth from outside noise. You do not need opinions while you are building. You need consistency. Consistency requires patience. Patience requires restraint. Restraint requires identity. Identity is solidifying. This chapter is deepening that identity. There will be moments when impatience spikes, when you want results now, when you question if waiting is worth it. This is normal. Impatience is not failure. It is information. It tells you where desire is strongest. You do not obey impatience. You use it as a signal to recommit. You remind yourself of the long game. The long game always wins. Short games feel exciting. Long games create freedom. Freedom to move at your pace. Freedom to say no. Freedom to choose depth over speed. You are no longer chasing momentum. You are building foundation. Foundation does not move quickly. It holds everything. Everything you want rests on foundation. Without it, progress collapses. With it, progress compounds. Delayed gratification is how you build foundation. It teaches you to tolerate delay without losing direction. to endure without drifting, to wait without weakening. This skill will serve you everywhere. In work, in leadership, in relationships, in pressure. You will notice that as patience increases, decision-making improves. You stop rushing choices. You stop reacting emotionally. You choose more wisely. Wisdom grows in stillness. Stillness is easier when you are not addicted to relief. Addiction to relief creates fragility. Tolerance to discomfort creates strength. You are building tolerance. This tolerance does not make life harder. It makes life lighter because you are no longer controlled by impulse. Control creates freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is being able to choose what you want long-term without being derailed short-term. That is power. This power changes how you experience waiting. Waiting is no longer anxiety. It is preparation. Waiting is no longer absence. It is accumulation. Waiting is no longer loss. It is investment. This reframe stabilizes you emotionally. You stop rushing into decisions just to relieve discomfort. You stop seeking immediate validation. You trust the process because you are the process. This trust reduces stress. Stress comes from urgency. Urgency comes from impatience. Patience dissolves urgency. This does not make you passive. It makes you strategic. Strategy always outperforms impulse. You are becoming strategic with your energy, strategic with your time, strategic with your choices. This strategy builds dominance quietly. Others rush. You plant. Others consume. You invest. Others react. You prepare. The difference widens over time, not immediately. Inevitably, you will reach moments where results arrive suddenly. Others will call it luck. You will know better. You will know it was patience, restraint, consistency, seeds planted long ago breaking the surface. This is satisfying in a deep way, not excitement. Fulfillment. Fulfillment lasts. Delayed gratification trains you to delay gratification not just in action, but in identity. You stop needing to feel successful to act successfully. You stop needing recognition to perform. You stop needing immediate proof. You become internally anchored. Anchored people are hard to shake. This anchoring allows you to navigate uncertainty without panic, to face slow periods without doubt, to endure plateaus without quitting. Plateaus are where impatience kills progress. You stay. Staying is the skill. This chapter is not glamorous. It is foundational. It is teaching you to build freedom the hard way, the only way that lasts. As you integrate this, you may notice fewer emotional highs. This is not loss. It is regulation. You become less volatile, more stable. Stability allows sustained excellence. Excellence is not flashy. It is reliable. You are becoming reliable. Reliable to yourself first. This reliability builds trust. Trust builds confidence. Confidence reduces anxiety. Anxiety fades when you trust your process. You are trusting your process now. The urge for immediate relief will still appear. It always does. The difference is your response. You notice it. You acknowledge it. You choose restraint, not because you are denying yourself, because you are building yourself. This choice becomes easier with repetition. Delayed gratification is a muscle. You are strengthening it. Each time you choose long-term over short-term, the muscle grows. Each time you choose patience over impulse, the muscle strengthens. Soon, restraint feels natural. Natural restraint is freedom, because you are no longer fighting desire. You are directing it. Desire becomes fuel, not distraction. Fuel for long-term goals. Fuel for sustained effort. Fuel for leadership. Leaders think long-term. They act patiently. They endure without complaint. You are stepping into that role. This is not a sacrifice. It is an upgrade. An upgrade in how you relate to time. An upgrade in how you manage energy. An upgrade in how you build a life. You are no longer consuming your future for present comfort. You are investing your present for future freedom. This is maturity. Maturity is freedom delayed, not denied. Denied desires create resentment. Delayed desires create strength. You are delaying wisely. And as you do, you feel something shift. Less urgency, less noise, more clarity. Clarity makes decisions easier. Decisions reduce stress. Reduced stress increases capacity. Capacity expands freedom. This is the chain. Delayed gratification creates freedom. Not someday. Structurally, you are building a life where choices expand instead of contract, where patience pays dividends, where restraint unlocks options. This life is quieter, stronger, more controlled. It is not flashy. It is free. Hold this perspective. Plant seeds in silence. Water them with consistency. Protect them with patience. Do not dig them up early. Trust time. Trust yourself. And anchor this choice now. Say it without emotion. Say it with resolve. I choose long-term strength. This choice will be tested soon, but you will not rush. You will wait. You will build. You will grow. And when freedom arrives, it will not feel sudden. It will feel earned. Chapter 11. Becoming the one who finishes. There is a quiet truth that separates lives that advance from lives that finishers win. Dreamers repeat. This is not about talent. It is not about intelligence. It is not about opportunity. It is about completion. You have already started many things. Ideas, plans, promises, versions of yourself that felt powerful in the beginning. Starting is not rare. Intensity at the beginning is common. Finishing is different. Finishing requires a level of commitment that does not depend on feeling inspired. It requires staying when excitement fades. It requires precision when comfort invites retreat. This chapter hardens commitment. No escape routes. No half decisions. No quiet exits when things get uncomfortable. This is where identity locks in. Most people do not fail because they cannot start. They fail because they leave the moment finishing demands something from them. Finishing demands endurance. It demands restraint. It demands exactness. Exactness means you do not drift. You do not loosen standards halfway. You do not renegotiate when the end approaches. The closer you get to finishing, the louder resistance becomes. This is not coincidence. Resistance intensifies near completion because completion changes identity. Once you finish, cannot return to who you were before. Finishing closes doors permanently. The old self understands this, and it resists. You feel this resistance as fatigue, as doubt, as the urge to delay just a little longer. This is the moment where most people back away. They tell themselves they will return later. They convince themselves that restarting will be easier than finishing now. It never is. Restarting creates repetition. Finishing creates progression. This is the point where commitment becomes non-negotiable. You are no longer evaluating how you are executing what you decided. This is where leadership sharpens. Leadership is not proven by how you begin. It is proven by how you close. The closing phase exposes everything. Your discipline, your patience, your integrity. Finishing asks a simple question. Will you stay exact until the end? Exact does not mean perfect. It means aligned. Aligned with the standard you set. Aligned with the decision you made. Aligned with the identity you claimed. Drift is the enemy here. Drift is subtle. It looks like small compromises, softer effort, lower intensity disguised as realism. You catch it. You correct it. You stay exact. This chapter carries relentless intensity because finishing is relentless, not frantic, focused on the final steps, focused on completion, focused on follow-through. There is no applause waiting for you at this stage. There is no external pressure pushing you forward. This is pure self-command. You are finishing because you decided to. You do not need permission. You do not need encouragement. You do not need validation. You need execution. This is where dreamers exit. Dreamers love possibility. They love the idea of being finished. They love the image of success. But when the work becomes repetitive, tedious, and demanding, they drift. They repeat. Finishers are different. Finishers understand that the last stretch is rarely glamorous. It is often quiet, often uncomfortable, often lonely. They stay anyway. This is the stretch where excuses appear polished. They sound reasonable. They sound intelligent. But finishers do not debate them. They move. The intensity increases here. Listen carefully. This is not the time to question the process. This is not the time to adjust standards downward. This is not the time to seek relief. This is the time to close. Every unfinished thing drains energy. Every open loop occupies mental space. Every half decision weakens confidence. Finishing clears space. It frees energy. It restores focus. It strengthens identity. The relief you seek is on the other side of completion, not before it. You may feel the urge to escape this pressure by starting something new, something exciting, something fresh. This is avoidance disguised as ambition. You do not start something new to avoid finishing something old. You finish. Finishing teaches the nervous system something critical. That discomfort is survivable. That effort can be sustained. That you do not collapse at the end. This builds resilience that starting never can. This is why finishers grow stronger with time. They accumulate proof. Proof that they can endure. Proof that they can complete. Proof that they can be trusted. Self-trust deepens here. When you finish, something locks in. You stop doubting your ability to follow through. You stop questioning your discipline. You stop needing to convince yourself. You know. That knowing is powerful. This chapter demands relentless focus, because finishing does not tolerate distraction. You simplify. You cut noise. You reduce options. You narrow attention. All that matters is the final execution. This is not the time to multitask. It is the time to complete. You may feel pressure rising in your chest, fatigue in your body, resistance in your thoughts. Good. This is the forge. Transformation peak. Short commands now. Direct. Uncompromising. Stay exact. Not emotionally. Structurally. Exact with effort. Exact with timing. Exact with standards. Do not rush. Do not slow unnecessarily. Move with control. Finish strong. Not with chaos. With composure. Strength at the end matters more than speed at the beginning. Many start fast and fade. Finishers pace themselves to close. This is where pacing proves its value. You do not collapse at the finish line. You cross it with stability. The mind wants to quit early because it is tired of holding tension. You hold it anyway. Holding tension is a skill. It trains endurance. Endurance wins. You are not doing this to impress anyone. You are doing this to become someone. Someone who finishes. That identity carries weight. People who finish do not fear long projects. They do not fear difficulty. They do not fear commitment. They trust themselves to see things through. That trust is rare and valuable. Finishing also clarifies priorities. You stop scattering energy. You stop chasing distractions. Completion sharpens focus. Focus creates momentum. Momentum carries you forward natural. Why once something is closed? Open loops create drag. Closed loops create lift. You are choosing lift. This is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being exact. Exactness is respect. You respect your time enough to complete what you start. You respect your energy enough to not waste it on repetition. You respect your future enough to close this chapter cleanly. This respect changes how you see yourself. You no longer identify as someone who almost finishes. You identify as someone who does. That shift matters. Dreamers live in potential. Finishers live in results. Results are not loud. They are solid. Solid things support weight. Your future requires support. It requires a foundation of completed actions. You are laying that foundation now. There may be a voice telling you that finishing does not matter. That starting again is just as good. That progress is nonlinear. Do not listen. Progress may curve, but completion is non-negotiable. Without completion, progress resets. You are not resetting. You are closing. This phase requires resolve. Resolve is quiet courage. It is choosing to endure without drama, to persist without applause, to complete without external reward. The reward comes after, not as excitement, as confidence. Confidence that does not depend on mood. Confidence that does not fluctuate. The kind that stays. As you move through this final stretch, something important happens. Fear of finishing dissolves. Yes, fear. Fear of success. Fear of responsibility. Fear of becoming someone who cannot hide behind potential anymore. Finishing removes hiding places. You stand fully in what you have built. This is exposure, and it is empowering. You stop being theoretical. You become actual. Actual identity carries authority. Authority changes how you move through life. You stop second-guessing. You stop waiting. You stop delaying, because you know you finish. This knowledge simplifies decisions. You do not ask if you will follow through. You know you will. That certainty is rare. It separates leaders from followers, builders from consumers, finishers from dreamers. This chapter does not soften. It sharpens. You are sharpening. Every step toward completion increases intensity. Every moment you stay increases strength. This is not the time to reflect. Reflection comes after. This is the time to act. Stay exact. Finish strong. Say it internally, not as motivation, as instruction. Stay exact. Finish strong. You are closer than you think. The end is not relief. It is release. Release of tension. Release of doubt. Release of the old identity that wondered if you would quit. You will not. You are finishing. And when you do, something irreversible happens. You become someone who finishes. That identity does not fade. It carries into everything you do next. This chapter ends without celebration. It ends with certainty. Certainty that you stayed. Certainty that you closed. Certainty that you did not exit early. And as this certainty settles, it prepares you for what comes next. Because once you finish, you are no longer proving anything. You are ready to lead from completion. And that changes everything. Chapter 12, the person you are now. There is a quiet moment when striving ends. Not because growth stops, but because effort is no longer required to become who you are. This is that moment. This is no longer effort. This is identity. You are not pushing forward anymore. You are moving from alignment. What once required force now feels natural. What once demanded discipline now feels expected. What once felt heavy now feels grounded. You are calm, not passive. Calm. Calm because you trust yourself. Calm because your standards are settled. Calm because there is no internal argument left to resolve. This calm did not arrive by chance. It was built through silence, built through pressure, built through patience, built through finishing. Every chapter before this shaped something inside you, not externally, internally. You did not become louder. You became clearer. You did not become faster. You became steadier. You did not become aggressive. You became exact. This is what identity feels like when it locks in. There is no urgency to prove anything. No need to perform. No need to explain. You know who you are. That knowing changes everything. You walk into situations differently now. Not scanning for validation. Not bracing for judgment. You are present. Presence is authority without noise. Authority does not announce itself. It is felt. People sense when someone is no longer seeking permission. When someone is no longer rehearsing confidence. When someone is no longer negotiating their standards internally. That person moves differently. That person is you now. You are grounded. Grounded does not mean still. It means stable. You are stable in your decisions, stable in your values, stable in your direction. Stability is rare. Most people live in fluctuation. They rise and fall with emotion. They accelerate and collapse with motivation. You do not. You move from identity. Identity does not fluctuate. This is the point where greatness stops being chased. You do not chase greatness. You embody it. Embodiment is quiet. It is waking up and doing what must be done without drama. It is making decisions without second guessing. It is responding to pressure without losing posture. This posture is internal. It is how you hold yourself when things go wrong. It is how you act when things go right. It is how you treat consistency when no one is watching. You are no longer building this posture. You are living from it. That is the shift. The shift from becoming to being. Being does not require motivation. Being requires maintenance. You maintain standards now instead of negotiating. You maintain discipline instead of forcing it. You maintain direction instead of searching for it. This maintenance is not exhausting. It is efficient. Efficiency comes from alignment. When who you are and what you do are the same, energy stops leaking. You conserve strength. You move cleanly. You recover faster. Recovery matters. You are not trying to win every moment. You are building something that lasts. Longevity is the real measure of greatness. Flash fades. Consistency endures. You have chosen endurance. That choice reshaped you. Look back at who you were before this process began. Not with judgment, with clarity. That version of you relied on mood, relied on motivation, relied on external pressure to move. This version does not. This version leads itself. Leadership is no longer a role you imagine stepping into. It is a posture you live from. You do not wait for direction. You create it. You do not wait for permission. You assume responsibility. Responsibility is not burden anymore. It is ownership. Ownership feels different. It feels steady. It feels clean. It feels calm. Calm does not mean you lack ambition. It means ambition is no longer anxious. You are not rushing toward the future. You are building it deliberately. Deliberate movement is powerful. It creates space between action and reaction, between impulse and decision, between noise and truth. You live in that space now. That space is where command exists. Command is not control over others. It is command over self. You have mastered that. Not perfectly, reliably. Reliability is what makes leadership real. People trust those who are predictable in integrity, predictable in effort, predictable in follow-through. You have become predictable in the best way. Others may still be emotional, still reactive, still inconsistent. You are not disturbed by that. You do not need to fix them. You do not need to compete with them. You move. That movement creates gravity. Gravity does not chase. It attracts. Your steadiness attracts responsibility. Your consistency attracts trust. Your calm attracts opportunity. This is how influence grows, not through self-promotion, through embodiment. You have stopped trying to look strong. You are strong. That difference is everything. Strength now shows up in restraint, in patience, in the ability to wait without weakening. You can sit with uncertainty without panic. You can hold pressure without collapse. You can face challenge without identity crisis. This is maturity. Maturity is not age. It is self-command over time. You have trained that. Now the final transformation peak arrives, not as intensity, as authority. Authority does not shout. It states. Authority does not rush. It decides. Authority does not ask. It acts. You feel this authority inside you now. It is not emotional. It is structural. It does not depend on circumstances. It does not depend on recognition. It exists because you have aligned your behavior with your standards consistently enough that doubt no longer has a voice. Doubt still appears. It just no longer leads. Fear still shows up. It just no longer decides. Pressure still exists. It just no longer overwhelms. This is sovereignty. You are sovereign over your internal world. That sovereignty changes how you experience life. You no longer feel pulled in 1,000 directions. You no longer feel scattered. Your attention is focused. Your energy is directed. This direction gives life shape. You are no longer reacting to events. You are responding from identity. Response is always calmer than reaction, always cleaner, always more effective. This effectiveness builds confidence quietly, not the confidence that needs reassurance, the confidence that comes from self-trust. Self-trust is the deepest form of confidence. It allows you to act without anxiety, to decide without delay, to commit without fear of abandonment. You trust yourself to finish. You trust yourself to endure. You trust yourself to adjust without quitting. That trust did not arrive magically. It was earned through repetition, through silence, through delayed gratification, through finishing. You have accumulated proof that you can be relied upon. His proof changes your internal dialogue. You no longer ask, "Can I handle this?" You ask, "What is required?" Requirement is neutral. It removes drama. Drama feeds ego. Requirement feeds execution. You operate from requirement now. This is why you feel calm, even when stakes are high. High stakes no longer intimidate you. They focus you. Focus is clarity under pressure. Clarity is power. This power does not need to be displayed. It simply exists. You are not trying to become impressive. You are becoming effective. Effectiveness compounds. It shows in results, in progress, in the way your life begins to organize itself around your standard. Chaos decreases. Structure increases. This structure does not feel rigid. It feels supportive, like rails that keep you moving forward even when energy dips. You have built those rails. You are no longer guessing how to live. You are executing a system. Systems outlast motivation. You are living proof of that. The person you are now does not oscillate wildly, does not start and stop, does not burn out quickly. You have learned how to sustain effort without self-destruction. That alone separates you from most people. You are no longer impressed by shortcuts. You are no longer tempted by ease. Ease without foundation no longer appeals to you. You understand cost now. You understand trade-offs. You understand that everything has a price, and you choose which prices to pay. This choice gives you control. Control gives you peace. Peace is not the absence of challenge. It is the absence of internal conflict. You are no longer at war with yourself. This is what alignment feels like. Alignment is when values, actions, and identity agree. Agreement creates calm. Calm allows deeper thinking. Deeper thinking allows better decisions. Better decisions shape destiny. Destiny is not fate. It is the accumulation of aligned choices over time. You are aligned. This alignment changes how you handle success. You do not become arrogant. You become composed. You do not become careless. You become disciplined. You do not become complacent. You become consistent. Success no longer destabilizes you, nor does failure. You are steady through both. This steadiness is rare and valuable. It makes you someone others can depend on. Dependability is leadership currency. Not words, not charisma, not ambition. Dependability. You have become dependable to yourself first. That is why others will trust you. Trust creates opportunity. Opportunity expands influence. Influence is not power over others. It is the ability to move systems. Systems respond to stability. You are stable. You are also adaptable. Stability does not mean rigidity. It means you adjust without losing core standard. You can pivot without panic, change without collapse. This adaptability comes from confidence in identity. When identity is secure, change is not threatening. You know who you are regardless of circumstances. That knowledge frees you. Freedom is not escape. It is choice. You have choices now, not because life became easy, because you became capable. Capability expands options. You can say no without fear. You can wait without anxiety. You can act without hesitation. These abilities compound. They shape a life that feels intentional instead of accidental. You no longer drift into outcomes. You create them deliberately. Deliberation is leadership. Leadership is no longer something you aspire to. It is something you express. Expression does not require announcement. It shows up in how you handle pressure, in how you keep commitments, in how you treat time. Time is no longer something that slips away from you. You direct it. Direction creates momentum. Momentum carries you forward naturally. You are no longer pushing against yourself. This is the relief that arrives at the end of real transformation. Not excitement. Peace. Peace rooted in competence. Competence is confidence grounded in reality. You know what you can handle because you have handled it. You know what you can finish because you have finished. You know what you can endure because you have endured. This knowledge cannot be taken from you. It does not depend on mood. It does not depend on circumstances. It belongs to you. This is why this chapter is final, because this identity does not reset. You may refine it, you may deepen it, but you do not lose it. Once you become someone who commands themselves, there is no going back. You cannot unknow what you know now. You cannot return to reaction. You cannot return to inconsistency. You cannot return to negotiating your future away. That door is closed. What remains is responsibility, not heavy responsibility, chosen responsibility. You choose your standards. You choose your pace. You choose your direction. Choice is power. Power is calm. Calm is control. Control is freedom. This is the chain you have built. Transformation peak. This is the final one. Not loud. Absolute. Authority without effort. Certainty without doubt. Command without force. You do not ask who you are anymore. You decide, and you live from that decision. Every day. This is not motivation. This is training complete. You no longer need to be pushed. You no longer need to be reminded. You are internally led. Say it now, not as inspiration, as truth. I decide who I become. That decision is not for today only. It is permanent. Tomorrow does not require renegotiation. Neither does next week. Neither does next year. The decision stands. From here forward, life will continue to test you. Pressure will return. Challenges will evolve. But you are no longer surprised by difficulty. You expect it. You prepare for it. You move through it. You do not fear growth. You do not fear responsibility. You do not fear becoming more. You welcome it because you know you can handle it. This is the person you are now. Grounded, calm, certain, not because life is easy, because you are solid. You do not chase greatness. You embody it. An embodiment does not fade. It deepens. Every day you live from this identity, it strengthens. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a different way of living, a way where effort aligns with identity, where pressure sharpens instead of breaks, where patience builds instead of delays, a way where you lead yourself without struggle. This is your new baseline. Hold it, live from it, and remember this clearly. You are not becoming someone else. You are finally becoming yourself. Decided, directed, unshakable. This is who you are now. Final conclusion. This was not motivation. This was training. You are no longer waiting to feel ready. You move because movement is who you are now. Your thoughts are disciplined. Your focus is sharp. Your standards are non-negotiable. You do not negotiate with comfort. You do not bargain with fear. You do not delay what you have decided. What once required effort now flows from identity. Action is natural. Discipline is expected. Consistency is normal. You have stepped into the mindset that changes everything. Not once, daily. Each morning you rise aligned. Each decision reinforces who you are. Each challenge sharpens you instead of shaking you. Imagine who you become from here. Imagine the calm confidence, the quiet power, the steady authority. You no longer rush. You no longer react. You no longer doubt your ability to endure. Pressure meets composure. Difficulty meets discipline. Uncertainty meets direction. This is the result of commitment kept, promises honored, standards held in silence. You are not finished. You are established. From this point forward, you move deliberately. You choose long-term strength over short relief. You choose clarity over noise. You choose command over reaction. Stand up, not in anger, in certainty. Focus, not on outcomes, on execution. You rise now, not because circumstances allow it, because identity demands it. Let these words settle. Let them anchor you. Let them guide your actions forward. Say it with calm conviction. I am ready. I rise. I decide who I become. Carry this state into every moment. When challenges appear, you remain steady. When opportunity arrives, you act cleanly. There is no return to who you were, only continuation forward. This is your standard now. Live it daily. Let alignment guide you. Let discipline protect you. Let identity lead you forward without hesitation ever again now. You made it to the end. That already says something about you. Most people stop early. You stayed. If this audiobook challenged you, if it sharpened your focus, if it reminded you of who you're becoming, then don't let this be a one-time moment. This channel exists for people who choose growth, discipline over comfort, clarity over noise, progress over excuses. If you want more audiobooks like this, more mindset training, more leadership, more inner strength, subscribe, like this video so it reaches the people who need it, and share it with someone who's ready to rise but hasn't found the words yet. Stay consistent, protect your mind, and keep moving forward. This is only the beginning.